see is covered up by this picture here. But basically, so we kind of usually think of storytelling as someone reading a book while a few people sit around and listen. But for the Cherokee, it can be like a grand event. Like, for example, this entire theater could be filled with people listening to someone tell a story. So where are the Eastern Band of Cherokee in North Carolina? So first of all, they're in North Carolina. So they're in the state that we're in right now. They're in very western North Carolina, kind of where the mountains are. And so the stories are typically told kind of everyone's sitting around in a circle around the storyteller, but everyone's kind of looking at the fire and they're focusing on the fire. And so they don't get distracted by other things, other people. Everyone's just looking into the fire and listening to what the storyteller is saying to them. And folktales and storytelling are a very important part of Cherokee culture because they teach us stories about how to be better people. And they also sometimes explain how certain things came to be and the way that things are. The Cherokee didn't read or write for many years, so they used storytelling as a way to pass down their history because they didn't have any way to write it down. So instead, they just told stories to their children, who then told stories to their children. This picture here is a picture of the alphabet that they use now to write with, but they didn't have it for many years. So many of the stories are told using animal characters, very similar to the stories that we just heard. The picture on the left here of this bird and this water beetle, that's from their creation story. That's how they explain that the world was created. And then the picture on the right with the tortoise and the hare, they also have their own tortoise and the hare story in Cherokee that's very similar, basically the same to the story that we just heard. So here's a popular story in Cherokee called Yonder Mountain. Not only children, but also to adults, because it has some very important lessons. First of all, the major lessons is that it's important to worry not only about your own needs and about like the needs of those close to you, but those also around you. And that sometimes, for instance, he kind of forgot about his own task and instead started worrying about what was happening to the village next to him. So he could have just said, never mind, like I'm on a task, I need to get something, and just forgot about the village. But instead he placed importance on what they needed instead of what he needed. Another thing that he did is that he followed the chief's instructions. He went to the top of the mountain, whereas the other two found something along the way that was easier, and they just took it back when they thought they had found a good solution. He followed the instructions of the chief and went to the top of the mountain, and that's how he was able to find out that the village next to theirs needed help. So these are some very important lessons that are not only important for us to know when we're young, but they're important for us to know for the rest of our lives.